Unlocking our emotional mastery to improve communication. This is so vital, especially today. Oh my goodness, things are going bananas. I have never seen a world so broken in communication and connection, and it's crazy. So let's talk about react to respond. Got to react to respond. Now, what does that mean? Well, when we're talking about react, what does that mean? Well, we have that knee-jerk reaction, right? And we always see those terms respond, don't react. But let's use react as an acronym so that we can respond more gracefully, more elegantly. Now, with whom are we communicating, by the way? Well, we're communicating with ourselves, first and foremost, and then we're communicating with others. And what happens is if we're having poor communication with ourselves, if we're allowing that inner dialogue, that chitter chatter, that crap that could go on in our mind here, that will impact how we feel, right? And how we feel, what our emotion is, what we're fueling ourselves with is going to drastically impact how we communicate, won't it? Think about it. When you're angry, what else pisses you off? Right? Everything, right? So you can get angry at yourself, you get angry at the world, you get angry at the person. So it doesn't matter what's going on. The input comes in, it goes through a filter of anger. Therefore, our next communication is going to be through that filter. And when we do that, we could be saying things to someone that we don't necessarily mean. We could see saying things to ourselves. Now, when we're all heated, and here's what's going on. The world is so heated right now. I don't know if you've noticed that there's a lot of bad things going on right now. And what's happening is it's impacting our emotions. It's impacting how we show up. So you're right to have opinions. You're right to feel the way you feel. You have every right to feel the way you feel. The question becomes, is that supporting effective navigation through life? Is it helping us communicate more effectively? Is it helping us connect more effectively, more deeply? And here's the challenge. If you and I are angry, if we're hanging out with someone and we're angry, what do we want? Right? Misery loves company. If we're scared, if we're whatever, we want to hang out with other people to justify because however we're feeling, especially if we know that it's not necessarily that healthy. But what can happen is we could actually connect even more deeply with another person who is angry, who is scared, who is frustrated, whatever emotion we're fueling ourselves with. We will connect really deeply with potentially with that a person who's, well, I should say this, who's angry at the same thing as you are, who's scared about the same things that you are, who's frustrated, whatever the fuel, the non-resourceful fuel, the emotion you're experiencing, when you find someone who's feeling the same way about the same stuff, well, then we're gonna bond. But what if you're upset about opposite things? Now this becomes a super heated argument. Right? The old I'm wrong, you're right, I'm wrong. Have you ever had that happen where you've gotten so mad at somebody where you are in an argument that's so heated, you forgot what you were arguing about? You forgot what you were arguing about, but you knew you were right. And so did they. Now, I don't know if you could see that in other places in the world right now, that other people are angry and then a different group of people are angry and they're angry at each other and that makes it go bananas. But imagine also what happens when we've got that internal anger, internal fear, internal frustration. So react to respond. First thing we want to do in react to respond, react, the R, there's the REACT. The R stands for recognize. Right? Take a step back, recognize what's going on. Like, is this, I'm feeling a way that isn't going to be helpful, isn't going to be supportive, isn't a fuel that I want to be living in, right? It's okay to get angry, frustrated, fearful. We just don't want to live there, right? It's there for a reason now, but it's there for you to take a step back and then go, oh, aha, I'm feeling something. Recognize it. Then we want to evaluate, right? Evaluate it. What does that mean? Is this really true? We want to evaluate, question it, get curious. Think about a time when you did get frustrated, you did get angry, you did get scared, and you realized, ooh, wait a minute, this isn't helping. Let me take a step back. Let me recognize, okay, I'm not feeling great. This isn't the way I want to feel. Evaluate, is this really true? Question what's going on, get curious, right? And then assess. Assess it and go, okay, well, what what do I want to feel? Where is this going to help me? Where is this going to hurt me? And then put ourselves in one of those ideas of like, okay, I've got to figure out a way to make a change. And we do all sorts of training on that. Then the C, communicate. Now, obviously, this conversation is about how we communicate. So we want to be in a more sourceful state when we communicate. So get into a state of what it is you want to feel, or ask the question, well, what do I want to feel right now? How do I want to fuel myself in this moment? Anger isn't working and fear isn't going to help. What I think maybe is, we're in a relationship. Maybe I want to get into, I want to feel more loving. I want to feel more connected. I want to feel more fun. Whatever it is, we want to be able to communicate that first to ourselves. And then when we communicate with someone else, here's a little hack, something to think about. Rather than saying, you made me feel a certain way, right? We've all heard this a million times. Nobody makes anybody feel anything. Unless, you punch somebody, you made them feel the pain of the punch. But other than that, when we're having a communication, it's not, someone can't make you feel a certain way. They may say something that then you go down a path. So if we're not, and how does that happen? We're not feeling resourceful. We're not feeling confident. We're not feeling grateful. We're not feeling loving. Someone could say something and then we make it mean something that it didn't mean, which is when we got to go back to recognize, then evaluate, does this mean what it really means, and start going through this process again. But when we communicate it, rather than saying, you made me feel, what if we just simply shared how we were feeling? I'm feeling this way because X, Y, and Z. Now, I'm feeling this way because you did this. No, I'm feeling this way because what you just did, I'm perceiving as, I'm making it mean something like this. And I'd like to question, I'd like to see if that's true. And the truth is, 9 times out of 10, it wasn't really what was being meant, the intention. There's a presupposition in NLP that says communication is the meaning given. It's the way it's perceived, not the way it was intended. It's how it's received, not its intent. So be willing to communicate that question, have that conversation. And then lastly, the T is take action. Right? Take action. What does that mean? That may mean figuring out where you want to go and start leading the conversation that way, communicating it more effectively, but taking the action towards a desired outcome. So just food for thought. I wanted to keep this a short and sweet. A short and sweet conversation. 8 minutes, not that short. But if you have any thoughts on this, please chime in. How do you react? How do you recognize? How do you evaluate? How do you assess? How do you communicate it? And then how do you take action? Where does this show up in your life? Let's not make this a one-way conversation. I'm going to do these more consistently at a certain time. It's just the schedule's been nuts. So God bless you. I love you for who you are and who you aren't. And we will see you soon. God bless.